Right now, about a third of Australians are retiring with less than $50,000 in super. That is a startling statistic, especially when you consider that most of those people didn't set out to end up in that position. They made a handful of quiet, almost invisible mistakes years before their retirement date, mistakes that slowly drained their future potential. The difference between a retirement where you are choosing how to spend your days and one where you are counting every single dollar often comes down to the decisions you make while you're still working. Financial freedom isn't just about earning a high salary, it's about making smarter decisions with the resources you already have. Unfortunately, many of the most common retirement mistakes don't feel like errors at the time. They feel normal or like what everyone else is doing, which is exactly why they are so dangerous. The first and perhaps most common mistake is the set and forget mentality regarding superannuation. Most Australians assume that because their employer is making the super guarantee contributions, which is now 12% as of the 2025-26 financial year, their retirement is automatically taken care of. They never check their balance, they don't know what fund they're in, and they certainly don't consider if their investment strategy matches their age or long-term goals. This lack of engagement leads to a massive gap. Current data shows the average super balance for those aged 60 to 64 is around $395,000 for men and $313,000 for women. However, according to the Association of Superannuation Funds of Australia, or ASFA, a single person needs at least $630,000 and a couple needs $730,000 for a comfortable retirement, assuming they own their home outright. That's a huge shortfall. Closing that gap requires active management. You need to consolidate accounts to avoid paying multiple sets of fees and insurance premiums that leak money out of your savings every month. You also need to ensure your investment option is working hard enough for your specific stage of life. The second mistake is leaning too heavily on the age pension. While the pension exists as a safety net, it was never intended to be a comprehensive retirement plan. Currently, the full age pension for a single person is approximately $31,200 a year, and for a couple, it's about $47,000. When you compare those figures to ASFA's comfortable standard, which suggests roughly $55,000 for a single and $77,000 for a couple, it becomes clear that even a full pension leaves you well short of a comfortable lifestyle. Furthermore, many people only qualify for a part pension once assets and income are assessed. Relying on the government to fund your future is building on shaky ground. Eligibility criteria and thresholds can shift over time, creating uncertainty. The smartest approach is to treat the pension as a potential bonus rather than the primary source of income. Building your own wealth gives you a level of certainty and independence that government policy changes cannot take away. Mistake number 3 is ignoring the silent killer of wealth, inflation. This is a sneaky problem because it doesn't appear as a loss on your bank statement, it simply erodes what your money can actually buy. If you retire with $500,000 and inflation averages just 2.5% per year, in 15 years, the real value of that money will have dropped by about 31%. We've all seen the rising costs of groceries, electricity, and healthcare. For a retiree on a fixed income, these rising costs are brutal because you can't simply ask for a pay rise. To combat this, your retirement savings cannot just sit in low-interest cash accounts. You need your money to outpace inflation, which often means maintaining a portion of your portfolio in growth assets even after you stop working. If you don't plan for the rising cost of living from day one, the number you retire with will feel much smaller just a decade into your retirement. The fourth major error is underestimating longevity risk, essentially the risk of outliving your money. Most people plan for a 10 or 15-year holiday, but modern medicine and lifestyle mean retirement is often a 25 to 30-year stretch. Australian life expectancy is high, and if you've already reached age 65, statistics suggest you are very likely to live into your late 80s or 90s. Research indicates that nearly 30% of Australians over 50 are underprepared for retirement by more than a decade when measured against average life expectancy. It's not just about covering the basics for more years, it's about the escalating costs of healthcare and aged care in those final years. Specialist treatments and medications can drain a dwindling balance quickly. Planning for a longer horizon and looking into income streams that last for life, rather than just a lump sum you hope will stretch, is vital for long-term security. Finally, the fifth mistake is simply waiting too long to start. This is the most painful mistake because time is the one resource you can never get back. Compound interest is the most powerful tool in finance, but it requires time to work its magic. $1 invested in your 20s does significantly more heavy lifting than $1 invested in your 50s. Many people push retirement planning to the bottom of the list while they deal with mortgages, bills, and raising children. Then they reach their mid-50s and realize the numbers don't add up. Starting early isn't about having a perfect plan, it's about the habit. Even an extra $20 or $50 a week in your 30s can result in hundreds of thousands of dollars more by the time you retire. If you are already later in your career, it isn't too late, but you must be much more deliberate. Utilizing salary sacrifice, making catch-up contributions, and seeking professional advice become essential strategies to make up for lost time. To recap, the 5 biggest retirement mistakes Aussies make are neglecting their super accounts, over-relying on the age pension, failing to account for inflation, underestimating how long they will live, and delaying action. None of these mistakes feel like a crisis in the moment, but they compound over decades. The good news is that every one of these issues is fixable with awareness and proactive management. Taking ownership of your financial future today ensures that when you do reach retirement, you have the freedom to enjoy it rather than the stress of merely surviving it.